Hello and welcome to Talk Truth. My name is Corey Huntsberger. I have my father, Alan Huntsberger, in the studio with me. Dad, we're going to start off with our foundational verse because today's topic, we're going to need something soothing to hear first because today's topic is going to be a little upsetting. So let's start off with Psalm 24, 1 and 2. It says, "The earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord, for he laid its foundation on the seas and established it on the rivers." The reason why we start off with this every single day is because we need something just to bring it all in. We got so many crazy things, so many evil things, so many rich people like Soros and Bill Gates coming in and taking control. And I'm going to make petroleum jelly butter and you're going to like it. And, just spraying chemtrails and the list goes on. We just want to calm everyone down. Listen, hey, we believe the earth and everything in it belongs to the Lord because he created it. So that puts us on a firm foundation, right, Dad?
Yes, it does. And yet, the interesting thing is from my perspective is that God is awesome, but there's a problem. We don't really understand how bad evil is.
Mm.
And that's the interesting thing. You look at, the earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord, and everybody going, "Oh, isn't that wonderful?" Yeah, that is wonderful. But the problem is, the reason why we say that is that you and I need to, understand that there's a world out there that serves another God, and it's called money. And that God, what people will do for money is absolutely unbelievable.
Mm.
So I think that we just need to realize that the Lord is your source, your strength, and your joy. And he's not only your creator, but he's your life. And when you remain in him daily, abiding in his word, your life will produce the good things, the lasting fruits that you need in order to really sustain yourself in the world that we live in.
Yeah. Well, our guest is Maureen Steele. She is co-founder of America Made Foundation. She's a paralegal, a writer, and a powerful advocate dedicated to truth, justice, and restoring American values. She's also behind a new documentary, Taken, State-Sanctioned Kidnapping. We're going to talk about that. She's here today. Maureen, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me on, gentlemen. Nice to be here.
Well, nice to have you. Can we start off knowing a little bit about America Made Foundation? What is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. American Made Foundation was created by my partner, Ann Steele, and I. And it's really to educate people on their rights and who they are in this constitutional republic that certainly isn't acting like it right now. We also do documentaries exposing malfeasance and societal ills. Our first one was in North Carolina during that flood. And it was really there that we were tipped off that not only was this what we believed was a weather modification event, but as soon as that happened, of course, no help came in. And then people were losing their children and their homes. So that was an incredible eye-opener to watch these families who had just watched their home run down the river. They've lost their cars, all their important papers, everything. And then CPS came in to start stealing their children because the parents were living in tents and cooking on open campfires. And well, I'm so sorry, this isn't an appropriate home for your children. We'll take them for you. There's still parents in North Carolina that don't know where their children are.
Every movement is born out of a burden or a calling. What was the moment you knew you had to step forward and take action?
Gosh, it's been years. I'm being a paralegal and practicing in family courts and doing family law. I had seen firsthand how corrupt the system was, how corrupt the attorneys were, the judges, and the whole system was rigged. It wasn't until the last couple of years that I realized it's a racketeering operation. It's this is an $80 billion a year industry, trafficking kids through the courts, and the judges' pockets are greased, the lawyers are greased, CPS is greased, and this is how they're stealing our children. In 2019, Secretary of State at the time, Mike Pompeo, it's every year they do a missing persons report. But Mike Pompeo in 2019 told then President Trump that the #1 purveyor of children into sex slavery and sex trafficking is the foster care system in the United States of America. As far as I know, no one in DC has looked into this yet. We know that there's NGOs helping on the border. There's lots of people down there doing recordings of this, and the children that are being trafficked over the border, but also the children in our own country that are being trafficked here. There's over 1 million children that have gone missing in the United States just in the last, 5 years alone.
I heard about this flood that happened in Texas and the children that were at this camp. And I had heard a story about just before the flood came and destroyed everything, there were cars picking up children and taking them, and they've never been seen since. They were basically referring to these kids were trafficked.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. I hadn't heard that yet. I know about the little girls that were washed away and some of their bodies were recovered, but I hadn't heard about that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all, sadly. I've been down on the border, and there's some very, very brave men down there in southern Texas that are ex-military, ex-special ops guys, and these guys are in their 50s, some in their 40s, 50s. I'd gone down there for a speaking event, and there was a restaurant there, and all these guys are in and out. So I asked one of them, they were friends with a friend of mine, Michael Yon, who's he's always on the border. And he does a ton of reporting from there. But I asked him, what are you guys doing? Like, they're so fit, they're still running with packs on. And I'm like, are you retired from the military? Yes, ma'am. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? He goes, Maureen, you wanna see what we do? And he brought me over and he let me see a video of several of them. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. These were videos that the cartels send these guys and send our government. So don't think our government doesn't know what's going on. I saw the videos, and if I saw them, they have access to them. Children literally getting strapped to tables, babies. This is live, and these people doing it are cartel members, slicing them open and harvesting their organs while they're still alive. What I saw was so horrific. I could go on and on. I watched for like 10 minutes and I couldn't even watch anymore. It was absolutely horrifying. And these men know where to find these guys. They could put an end to it. He's like, Maureen, one phone call, I can make one phone call right now and have 5,000 guys just like me down here right now, and we could end this. We know where to find these guys. We know how to shut this down. He goes, the government won't let us do it. He goes, and we can't find the funding. So that's where we're at. Our government is well aware of what's going on, but this is a $80 billion a year industry. And the biggest day for sex trafficking in the United States of America, this is just a little trivia, is Super Bowl. That day where we're all celebrating and we're all partying and having fun and thinking it's all American. That's the biggest day of the year for sex trafficking.
Wow.
Can you give us some examples of how CPS is taking children away from the parents? Because there's many. Yeah, the little bit of conversation we've had before. There's medical kidnapping. What is that? There's kids, in school, where schools are calling CPS on families and the kids are being removed. Can you give us some specific stories that you know of how it's happening?
Sure. Just like you said. So if you go in for a well child visit with your baby, and depending on who you get that day for a doctor, and you refuse a vaccine or you refuse a vitamin K shot, this is a real story. This story is the Rivera family. I'll use them as an example. That's the family who is the center of our documentary. So they have 5 children. They've never been on the CPS radar before. They've never abused their kids. Their kids are homeschooled. They're vegan. Both parents work from home. This is a lovely family. And the mother Ruth didn't bring the baby to the pediatrician that day, asked her husband to do it because the last 3-month and 6-month visit, she was being harassed by the doctors to vaccinate, and they hadn't vaccinated any of their kids. So she asked her husband to do it. So he brought the baby in. 9-month-old, perfectly healthy, chubby, cute little thing. And the doctor said, we see you haven't vaccinated. And he's like, no, we haven't. He goes, well, he needs his vitamin K shot. That's a shot you get at birth. And they tell you, they do it immediately at birth. They tell you it's for blood clotting reasons. Well, unless a child has a blood clotting problem, why are you doing that? Why are you injecting them with chemicals the minute they're out of the womb? So they refused it at birth. What's the point now? This is a 9-month-old baby who clearly doesn't have a blood clotting problem. So that was the issue. So the Tehran, Iran trained pediatrician told Izzy, the father, that if you do not vaccinate your child right now, I will call CPS. I'm going to file a report on you, and you're going to be under, scrutiny. And Izzy didn't think much of it because he's like, you do what you got to do. And he left with his son thinking, I have a right to refuse medical care. I have a right to decide, this is America, what my kids get and don't get injected into their body. And my kids are healthy, clean bill of health. There was nothing in the medical records or anything that the kids are malnourished or bruises on their bodies or there's any question of anything. The pediatrician made good on his promise, and it was 2 or 3 days later, CPS is knocking on their door. They wouldn't let them in. CPS kept upping the ante. They kept going every other day, knocking on the door. Then they start bringing the police. Now, mind you, the police are running on hearsay. They're threatening and banging on the door too. They don't have a search warrant. They don't have anything. There's nothing to go on except a pediatrician saying the parents refused a vitamin K shot that was supposed to be given at birth anyway, not at a 9-month visit. So now the cops are in on it. So after 3 weeks of getting harassed and they were getting scared, they hadn't been served anything yet, but just a lot of threats. They moved to Texas where they had some family and friends. And so they left the state, went there. They were there for a week or two, and they got surrounded by police. Their house was surrounded, gun drawn, about 10 or 12 police officers with their guns drawn and the bullhorn, come out with your hands up. The kids were absolutely terrified. They were screaming and crying. Parents came out of the house like this, and they were arrested, and they were put in jail in Texas for 30 days each on $2.5 million bail each. There's murderers, there's rapists that don't get put in jail with bails like that. And there was no crime. They made up a crime, and the crime was familial kidnapping. Now, Texas never asked, this is the problem with the system. Texas never said, where's the bench warrant? Where's the crime? They just do what they're told. Whatever CPS says, this agency, everyone just falls in line and they just do it. So this agency has way too much autonomy and too much power. Even though the Chevron deference was overturned in July of 2024, saying that you cannot do that anymore, no one seems to care. The judges and no one's applying that at all. So the kids were taken. They were brought back to Massachusetts, where this all originated, and Izzy and Ruth stayed in jail for a month, and they were extradited back to Massachusetts. This is where it gets even weirder. Izzy was put with $25,000 cash bail, and the wife, Ruth, was put with $7,500 cash bail. Now, not once was due process served. They were never served. The state can't prove and show that they had taken custody, lawfully, legally taken custody of these children. And everyone fell in line and helped to kidnap these kids. It has now been 7 months, and this family, these parents, still are not reunited with their children. And there's no charges. There's no criminal charges. There's nothing. So they've started to try to manufacture some misdemeanor charges. But again, they're in criminal court, and now they're in family court. And here's the real rub too. And this happens all the time. So if you target lower income families, and they love to do that, and you do something like this to them. So immediately, if you have a business or if you're an employee, your kids are stolen, suddenly your focus is trying to get your kids back. Now they tell you got to take parenting classes. You got to show up to all these court hearings. Well, you can't work. Now you can't make your car payment, so your car gets repossessed. You can't make your rent payment. You can't you don't have a home. So even once you prove them wrong in court, now CPS goes, well, Your Honor, we can't release these children back to them regardless of if it was our error or not. They don't have a home. They can't put a roof over their own children's heads. And we're very concerned about medical care, and they don't have a vehicle to get there. Whose fault is that? It's their fault. They do this to people, and they do it on purpose. So they destroy your life. They take everything from you and go, well, looks like you can't provide for your kids anymore, folks. So we'll just keep them. And that's what happens.
This is terrifying. What you're saying right now is absolutely terrifying. And it's in the documentary Taken that you've got coming out. By the way, quickly, where can people find that documentary? How can they watch it?
Sure. The premiere is September 7th in Boston, at the Legacy Theater in Dedham, just right outside of Boston. So that's our premiere. And then we will be having it on our website on American Made Foundation, where people will be able to go see it. We're also going to be doing red carpet events all around the country. And we will be doing one in Arizona. So we'd love to see you there for sure. This is just a topic that every parent needs to know about. And it's all being run through family courts. And this is the hot button, because there isn't anyone alive that hasn't been affected by family court, whether you've been divorced and you see how your due process is completely trampled upon, the Constitution goes right out the window. And this is where they steal the children. This is how they do it. And judges are in on it. They're getting money. This is all coming through Title IV from your own tax dollars. So we're paying for our own children to get stolen from us and trafficked.
Can you share some recent victories or breakthroughs that American Made Foundation has seen?
Well, first, can I ask this? Can you tell us how it happens in the schools as well? And then we can talk about any wins. Okay.
Yeah,
how does this happen in school?
Friends. Yeah, so I have several friends that are teachers, and one who recently retired in Nantucket, Massachusetts. So very upscale community, as we all know. And every year, all those teachers are sat down and given the mandatory reporter speech. And they're threatened that if you even suspect, I don't care how remote the suspicions are, if a child comes into your room with a skinned knee, you have to report it, because it could have been their parents that did it. So it's hearsay. You don't even have to have a valid suspicion. Otherwise, the school threatens the teachers that they're going to be in trouble. They'll lose their job if you don't report. So anything can be reported. And again, in criminal court, that doesn't hold any water. It's innocent till proven guilty, and hearsay isn't allowed. Yet with CPS, hearsay is allowed, and you lose your kids over it. It could be a vindictive ex-wife, a neighbor who doesn't like the fact that you moved your fence over a foot onto their property. Your dog's barking and they're mad at you. Any vindictive person can make this call, and they will take your kids and ask questions later. And it's not like you get your kids back tomorrow. It will take you months or years, and it will cost you every penny you have.
Okay, let's talk about some wins, because that is horrific.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It is, and Ann and I talk about it, we'll cry, and because it's so heart-wrenching, these stories. And, you just have to be a happy warrior. You have to know that you're doing, the best that you can, because you can't save them all. But exposing this is paramount. So that people understand what's at stake. I get a lot of feedback from people, oh, you need CPS. Children are abused and they need to be taken from their parents. You can't leave children in abusive situations. No, you can't. But here's an example. There are 10,000 children, as I speak to you today, gentlemen, in Massachusetts that are in the custody of CPS. 39 of those 10,000 children have been taken legally, lawfully, and for just cause. That's not even a 1% success rate with this organization. That is like a 0.01% success rate. So this is a very, very broken system, and it's operating just as it should. We think it's broken, but to them, this was the game. This was the racket. This is how you get kids. This is how you move money around. And this is how you break parents. This is how you break families. You break families, you break the American family, and you've broken the backbone of society, which they've done. They've done it very successfully with divorce rates through the roof. And now with this, so you have single moms, split homes, everyone's doing the best they can, and you're running. People don't have a lot of time. And then you got, teachers reporting, and most of the times parents collapse. And that's what they want to see. It's a rare case that you have the parents with the wherewithal and the stamina to see this fight through, because it's just a backbreaker, and it's a spirit breaker, and it's soul crushing. But some successes, there's one in the state of Arizona. That's the biggest success story that I know. It happened several years ago. The mother's name is Melissa, and her children were taken unlawfully, illegally. She was not an abusive mother at all. They had no evidence, no proof. They manufactured evidence. She was able to prove that. Took her 10 years. And at that point, her children were older and very traumatized and damaged, but she did get a restraining order on the state. And they did admit that they had made a mistake, but what good is it at that point? The kids are traumatized. They'll never be the same. She'll never be the same. And how do you get those years back with your children? The Rivera family, that's something I harp on towards the end of the documentary, is 7 months. I mean, it's a 9-month-old baby. 7 months later, without your parents, and I heard of another case where they're taking a child. It's out of Utah, and they went to Vegas to support their mother-in-law. They had 4 children. Again, they lived on a farm, homeschooled the kids, vegan, the whole deal, off the grid. They went to support their mother who was ill. They didn't have the money to rent a place to stay close by, and her place wasn't big enough. So someone said, oh, call this agency, they'll help place you. They're thinking it's kind of like Ronald McDonald House or something. That was not the case. These people came in, they started going through their finances. It was CPS. So you can't afford a roof over your children's head. It wasn't that. They have a beautiful farm back in Utah, but this family is still fighting in Vegas to get their children back. And all their kids were vaxxed up. All the kids were vegan. They're in foster homes eating meat. The kids are sick. They've all been molested. And if you say anything to the judges, and if you say anything to CPS, you're going to lose your kids even longer. Now you're under psych eval. Oh, you're just crazy. What are you doing? Saying this about this system. We're protecting your kids. And this is how it works. And I've seen this over and over again with parents. So they stay silent so they can get their kids back. And then once they do, and it might take years, that's when you'll see them become vocal. But in most cases, parents are they're broken at that point. It's the rare parent that can see this fight through to the end.
Do you have anyone on the Trump team, like you were talking about Mike Pompeo? He's not on the Trump team anymore. Is there any official
Tulsi Gabbard, anybody?
Anybody that's helping you guys or knows what's going on?
We're trying to get this to Trump, but General Flynn knows. General Flynn knows very well. He has America's Future organization. His sister Mary runs that. It's just an incredible family. But they've done incredible work in this arena. They have unbelievable documents. They know what's going on. And they're trying as hard as we are to end it and to get this in front of the right people. But again, it's the elites that they're the consumers of this. So it's the elites in Washington. This is greasing them. It's the DOJ. This is the judiciary. All these judges are in on it. So they're not ignorant to it. I am convinced at this point, with everything I've seen and I know now, that they all know, and they're all looking the other way. This is a behemoth, and to take this is, they want these kids, and they want these kids to disappear. They're 13-year-old girls that are giving birth to babies, and that's what they love. You take the kids, you traffic them, you keep them, you get them pregnant, then they start having babies. So this 13-year-old went missing. So you don't know that she's had 10 kids in 10 years or whatever. So now they have babies off the grid that they can sex traffic and use in satanic rituals. You asked me earlier, Alan, what this was for. And sadly, the adrenochrome, satanic ritual thing, as off the wall as that sounds, it is sadly true. This is a demonic, horrific group of people. And I just wrote an article not too long ago about psychopaths and what is a psychopath, and most of them are drawn to CEO positions, police officers, or politics. They like power, they want power, and they don't want anyone looking over their shoulder. So we elect psychopaths, and then they do psychopathic things. And so that's where we're at. And so we have a big uphill battle. I appreciate so much you having me on the show today, because people need to hear this. They need to know that this is a cottage industry in our nation. And not only is America, the foster care program, the number one supplier of children, the United States of America is the number one consumer of child sex slaves.
Wow.
What keeps you motivated and hopeful in this battle, and how can we be praying for you and the America Made Foundation in the days ahead?
I have kids. I have 4 sons and I have 4 grandchildren. That's what keeps me going. That this never happens to them, that it doesn't happen to any child. And so we need to make parents aware, and that these mandatory reporters are criminals too. People need to stop being afraid. Fear runs this country. Look at COVID. I mean, everyone absolutely lost it. They were terrified during COVID. And, you know, that was such a beautiful biblical quote at the beginning of this show. But Jesus also said, fear not and have faith. And so that's what we all need to do, is fear not. We need to stand up for the helpless. And if it costs you your job or some friends or your position at church or whatever, because people just want to maintain the status quo, and we can't. We need to rattle the cage, and we need to change it. So I'm a warrior at heart, and I'll keep fighting as long as I have 2 feet. I will, I'll die with 2 boots on the ground, but I will always, raise my voice to protect the innocent.
We're out of time, but we're definitely going to have you back, because I want to talk about solutions and how do we protect our kids. And, there's a lot of interesting possibilities out there. God bless you for what you're doing, and we'll definitely have you back.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much for having me on.
Painful conversation, eye-opening, fascinating, because we are discussing ways that parents can protect your kids from crazy stories like that. You want to help support our mission to keep this kind of conversation and truth on the air? We are viewer supported. We don't take government funds or special interest groups. It's only because of the generosity of those that watch this show. You can go to our website, gotalktruth.com, click on donate. That way you can give digitally. If you'd like to do it through the mail, you can. You can make your gift payable to Heritage Christian Ministries Association and send it to 246 Stewart Green Southwest, Suite 3260, Calgary, Alberta, T3H 3C8. And if you like prayer, you can call our toll-free line, 1-800-915-0056. All right, Dad, we're out of time. We'll see you guys later.
Love you.